Tom Berenger. You won't believe how close Tom Berenger came to living two totally different lives on screen and in the same movie. Now, imagine this. One path turns him into a soulful, battle-scarred moral compass. The other makes him the nightmare that keeps soldiers awake. Same film. Two opposite roles. That's how wide his range was, and why people still ask, what really happened to Tom Berenger? He wasn't born into the spotlight. Tom Berenger entered the world as Thomas Michael Moore on the 31st of May 1949 in Chicago. His dad worked long hours at the presses for the Sun-Times, and that blue-collar rhythm, show up and do the job, don't whine, stuck with him. He studied journalism at the University of Missouri, tried life behind a desk as a copy editor, and felt it in his bones. This isn't it. So he changed course, packed for New York, and chased the thing that had been tugging at him since forever: storytelling, for real, on stage and on camera. He paid his dues the old-fashioned way. Regional theater, auditions, soap operas. If you remember him from One Life to Live, you get OG points. Then the temperature started to rise. In 1977's Looking for Mr. Goodbar, he played a seductive one-night stand opposite Diane Keaton. And it wasn't just a blink-and-you-miss-it part, he made people uncomfortable in the best actorly way. Next came The Dogs of War, 1980, with Christopher Walken, the kind of tough guy stepping stone that told Hollywood he could handle grit. In 1983's The Big Chill, as Sam Weber, the brooding TV actor, reunited with college friends, he showed a surprising softness. The feeling behind the stare. It's like he was telling casting directors, I can do more than scowl. Now, let's talk about the fork in the road. In 1986, Oliver Stone cast him in Platoon. There's a long-running story that Tom Berenger was floated for big adventure leads earlier in the 80 seconds. You can imagine the hat and the 80 seconds. Whip, right? But the real pivot came here. He was originally considered for Sergeant Elias and the film's conscience before the switch happened, and Willem Dafoe took Elias, leaving Berenger to become Sergeant Barnes. That swap changed movie history. Barnes wasn't just a villain, he was the human cost of a broken war, a scar walking on two legs. What made it terrifying? Tom Berenger didn't overdo it. He let silence and stare do the killing. The result? An Oscar nomination and a performance people still bring up when they talk about the darkest roles of the 80 seconds. You'd think he'd ride that intensity forever, but watch what he does next. He pivots. In Someone to Watch Over Me, 1987, Ridley Scott gives him a romantic thriller lane. He plays it tender and torn, not just tough. In Shoot to Kill, 1988, with Sidney Poitier, he turns into the guy you trust when things go sideways in the mountains. Then he flips the table completely with Major League, 1989. As Jake Taylor, a beat-up catcher trying to hold a broken team together, sore knee, and all Tom Berenger becomes the heartbeat of a classic sports comedy. Next to a loud clubhouse of misfits, he stays grounded and human. And with Rene Russo across from him, he proves he can play messy love just as well as messy infield. By the early 90 seconds, the lane looked clear. He had become that rare mix big-screen gravitas without the noise. In Sniper, 1993, directed by Luis Loza, he's Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Beckett, a Marine who does the hardest job from the longest distance. Sure, it's an action film, but it's not brainless. It asks what killing does to your head when the target is a speck in your scope. Tom Berenger wears that weight in his face, not his voice, and audiences leaned in. The movie hit, especially on VHS and cable, and a franchise was born. He'd returned to Beckett multiple times over the years, turning the role into a kind of long-form portrait of a soldier aging with his ghosts. The same year, He went historical with Gettysburg, playing Confederate General James Longstreet, measured, restrained, and, again, heavy with thought. Then came a pulpy punch, The Substitute, 1996, directed by Robert Mandel, where he takes the one man versus a broken system blueprint, drops it in a high school, and runs the table as Jonathan Shale. Is it over the top? Absolutely. Does he sell every minute? Also, yes. Even when critics were split, audiences kept showing up a pattern with Tom Berenger. Make it believable, and people will follow. Then, the ground shifted. The 2000s favored glossy effects and superhero size. The industry's taste for scruffy grown-man thrillers thinned. Did Tom Berenger stop? Not a chance. He kept working indies, TV movies, no-frills crime stories, titles like Stiletto and Breaking Point. Not everything made a splash, but he showed up like a pro and gave each role weight. Meanwhile, the sniper world kept calling. He returned for Sniper 2, and later, as the legacy presence in new sequels, steady work, loyal fan base, the kind of long arc not many actors get. And then, out of nowhere, a very different door opened. Christopher Nolan tapped him for Inception, 2010. Tom Berenger isn't there to chew scenery, he's there to anchor it. As Peter Browning, godfather figure to Cillian Murphy's character, he gives the film a human pulse inside all the dream heist brain gymnastics. For younger viewers, it was a "who's that guy?" the moment. For longtime fans, it was a nod. Still here, still good, still controlled. That rediscovery wave carried him into prestige TV. In 2012, he joined Kevin Costner and Bill Paxton in Hatfields and McCoys, and as Uncle Jim Vance, he was flat-out fearsome, older, meaner, and magnetic. It wasn't just a comeback note, it earned him a Primetime Emmy. Think about that. Decades after Platoon, he lands one of the best roles of his career on a new platform and gets the trophy to prove it. Off-screen, Tom Berenger keeps it quiet. He's been married more than once, raised a big family, and stays engaged with history and education. He's supported young actors with a scholarship, and he seems happiest living away from the noise, spending real life outside the echo chamber. There have been legal bumps here and there, most public figures have them, but he's never been the guy to swing back through tabloids. He lets the work talk. Here's the bottom line. Tom Berenger didn't vanish. He evolved. He kept working when the spotlight drifted. He took the roles that fit the man he became. And every so often, he steps into a project that reminds everyone why he mattered in the first place. Now, your turn. What's your favorite Tom Berenger role? Are you a Barnes loyalist? Team Jake Taylor? A sniper lifer? Or did Hatfields and McCoys make you a believer? Drop your pick in the comments and tell me who you want covered next. Another forgotten powerhouse, a cult legend, or the most underrated face of the 90 seconds. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell. I post 2 long-form retrospectives a week, and I'd love to have you along for the next one.